pick the most valuable.
Okay, so what I have here is what you're calling a ruby and diamond ring set in 14 karat gold. The 14K is on the inside of the ring. The rubies are marquee cut. They look like a big oval, but they're not really an oval, they're marquee cut. Okay. There are 6 rubies. They're called Burmese Rubies. They're a magenta color that is typical of Myanmar or Burma, and rubies that will naturally develop there. All right. There are also diamonds. Diamonds that basically are anywhere between 1/4 of a carat, maybe 1/8 and 1/4 of a carat, somewhere in there each. There's about 8 diamonds set around that sort of curve of Burmese rubies. The rubies are in fact not naturally developed, they're synthetic. You can tell by the color, you can tell by the style. All right. The diamonds in fact are naturally developed. When you take a loupe and you look at them, you have a sense of what's synthetic and what's not. One of the ways to tell a synthetic stone is to look at color, to look at clarity. Right? Synthetic stones are produced in a lab. Doesn't mean that they're not valuable, it just means that they're not naturally developed. They're not as high quality or as valuable as a naturally developed stone like that. You still with me? Pretty straightforward. It says 14K inside, so they're in a very nice 14 karat gold setting, yellow gold. And the ring itself is worth anywhere between $500 and $700. Do you think your sister expected to give you a $600 to $700 ring? Here's your sister going, I don't think I wanted to give that much to, I'm just kidding. So what did you, so you did because you love your sister, you're sweet. So tell me, what did you pay for it?
It was like $230 on eBay.
$230 on eBay. So maybe they recognized that they had synthetic stones, but they didn't recognize that there was more value in the gold and also those diamonds, small as they may be. Nice, very nice. That's a nice piece. That's a nice gift is what that is. All right. Then we have another stone. This particular piece is Terry. Hi, Terry. You're the sister, the generous one. All right. So tell me a little bit about how you acquired this piece, also marked 14 karat gold. And this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stones. There are a couple things that indicate that this particular piece probably dates from the 1980s or so. So I don't know when you were engaged, maybe it was the 80s, early 90s, okay. This particular piece, the way in which the setting is so high up, the way in which this particular solitaire diamond is so high up, called princess cut, so high up, is typical of the 80s into the 90s. This starts in the 70s, but you're entirely too young to have an engagement for the 70s. This particular piece also has diamonds around it, smaller diamonds, set in 14 karat yellow gold. Oftentimes what will happen with these kinds in that time period, the style was that you get another band for your wedding band, or actually what's called, and this would be an insert. So this particular solitaire would be inserted into another diamond encrusted kind of ring. Lots of people did that in that time period. Value on this piece, my hand, you'd have to check the diamonds with a GIA certified gemologist. The diamonds are probably going to be in the value range between about $6,000 and $8,000. So wear it in good health. It's a nice ring. So we got some jewelry here. I'm a jewelry girl, Fred. I like jewelry. I like the way it holds its value. I like the way it looks. I like the bling. I like the whole deal, right? So tell me about this ring that you've got here. This ring came from an auction? Yeah? What made you buy it? Do you typically buy jewelry at auctions? Oh, I'm getting a lot of this tonight. You know what this? I'm getting a lot of this. Tonight I'm getting that thumb, that pointing, that down the line. Yes, my wife, my wife, my wife. All right. She's good. How long have you been married? A while? 26 years. 26 years tomorrow. Congratulations. 26 years. Has it been short or long? Some days long, some days short. He seems like a happy guy, right? He's a nice guy, right? I get a lot of this. Oh, that's my wife. She made me buy that. I was at an auction. Did you get a bargain at the auction? Yeah. He's going, no. She's going, yeah. Okay. This is how 25, 26 years happens, right? Oh, yeah, it's okay. So this one, too, is a 14 karat gold setting. And this one is sapphires and diamonds. You're probably looking at 2.5 total carat weight of sapphires and about, I would say, just under a carat of diamonds. That's nice. This piece also dates probably from the 1980s. It's a nice ring. It has good fire. So you're looking at those stones and you're saying, well, I don't know anything about the clarity or the carat weight or the color, but I know that it's sparkly. So that's one of the indicators. If you don't know anything about diamonds, look for a little bit of fire, sparkle, right? The other thing you want to look for is try to look with a loupe and try to avoid seeing any kind of carbon deposits, dark black spots. Try to avoid those. Diamonds are supposed to be colorless. You know all these people who are doing the, oh, you can get a chocolate diamond or you can get a black diamond? Well, you know what? I would like a colorless diamond personally. Now, call me picky. So the sapphires, in fact, are naturally developed. The sapphires are not, in fact, synthetic, right? So those particular sapphires, while small, and while they have to have a lot of them to make them up to, of course, the multiple carat weight, value on this ring is going to be anywhere between $600 and $700. What did you pay at the auction? Auctions are usually places where you can get a bargain if you're buying, but you're going to lose value of your objects if you're selling. How much did you pay? $50 for the piece. The 14 karat gold, half of the 14 karat gold, right? So this was one of those things where maybe there were not enough people in the auction bay, and it was just like, well, if I can get it for 50 and nobody's bidding against you, and they're just gonna let it go. That's amazing. That's a beautiful piece. But it is not as beautiful as this one. Where's Barbara? Hi, Barbara. Barbara brought me the bling. Not that all of you guys haven't done a great job here, but that's a really nice piece. How did you acquire this, Barbara? Is this a family piece? So a friend of the family says, Barbara, you're a sweet friend of the family. I want you to have this rock. I want you to have this. I want you to have this piece that's platinum. I want you to have this piece that is multiple diamonds. I want you to have this piece that also is inset with some green stones. I'm going to look at them again before I call them emeralds. But basically, this friend said, you should really have this, but this belonged to his mother or his grandmother, correct?
Yes.
I'm saying his, maybe it's a her.
Yeah, no, it was.
His, okay. He said, we want you to have it, blah, blah, blah. So you take it, do you wear it?
No.
Why don't you wear it? Where do I have to go to wear this, right? That's what most women say to me. Where do I have to go? I go, are you going to church or a wedding, or you want to impress your girlfriends at the spa? I don't know, put it on your finger, right? Okay, I'll put it on my finger for you. This is nice. All right, here's a couple of things that we're seeing here. First of all, this piece dates to about the 1930s or 1940s. It is marked platinum. The style is what's called art moderne. Okay, it's a style that basically is ushered in after the Art Deco period and before we get to post-war America, or the end of World War II. Art moderne can extend into the 1960s, but we usually call it the exotic period then, not really art moderne. This is a beautiful ring, and it really has a lot of fire. So this is what I was talking about when I was talking about fire. You know, it really sparkles a lot under the light. In order to get a good evaluation on it, I'm looking at three major league diamonds. I mean, those are 1.5, 1.75 total carat weight in the first three, and then I've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 16, 18. I mean, you know, I'm probably looking at 5, 6 carats total carat weight of diamonds or more. Certified gemologist who's going to evaluate these diamonds for their color, their clarity, their carat weight, you know, the 5 C's and such. And then what I have here too are very small baguettes, which are these elements on the sides, baguettes, which are cut like long rectangles, the green long rectangles. Those particular baguettes are going to be worth their independent value for them. They're emeralds, of course. All naturally developed, colorless stones, set in platinum. The platinum setting alone is $750. That's just for the platinum, that's just the metal. Then you start to add on all of these diamonds. I'm wearing a ring that belongs to you that probably has a market value anywhere between $12,000 and $18,000. That's a nice gift. Any of you would like to find one like that for me, go right ahead. Beautiful, really beautiful. And this piece belongs to Leslie. Hi, Leslie.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine.
Thanks for your patience, I'm fine. So tell me a little bit about this pin.
My grandfather bought it for my grandmother.
Your grandfather bought it for your grandmother. Sometime in the early decades of the 20th century.
Right.
True?
I think around 1925.
You think it was 1925? Was there an occasion?
He bought it after my mother was born.
You think he bought it after your mother was born. It's funny what guys will do once women have children. Right? It's interesting. And they deserve a gift. Today, the kids will call it a push present. I don't know if I have that right. That's what they call it, right? Yeah. You know, I'm like, okay. But I think folks were doing that a long time. Interestingly enough, this particular piece is quite beautiful, also set in platinum. This particular piece is a typical bar pin. Bar pins, side pins were very popular in the period after the Edwardian and into the Art Deco. This one also has a significant amount of very high quality diamonds. And the significant amount of very high quality diamonds here is going to put a value on this somewhere in the neighborhood of between $7,500 and $10,000. If you don't wear it, or you're afraid to wear it, the clasp is messed up, Lori, I'm afraid. Go to a jeweler who specializes, now this is important, go to a jeweler who specializes in antique repairs of antique jewelry, not just any old jeweler. Find somebody who actually specializes in this. It's very important that you do. And make sure that that particular person is willing to work on this piece. Don't leave it there unless it's insured. Oh, I have to get it insured. Yes, you do. Because you don't want to leave it with them. God forbid something happens. Okay? Then people go, oh, I don't know if I'm going to bother with doing it. You might as well have it fixed. Having it sit in a safety deposit box or in a jewelry box or something, not really worth it. You might as well do that. If you think, oh, I want to sell it, remember, values I'm giving you are retail values based on a sales record where similar pieces have sold. That doesn't mean that a jeweler is going to give you that value, right? They're going to try to get it as low as possible. So you may want to go in and you may want to say, okay, well, I'm just going to see what happens here. Maybe I just want to have the clasp fixed, right, repaired. But make sure you're not just having any GIA certified jeweler do it. That jeweler has to have some kind of expertise and experience with repairing these types of pieces. Did you have any idea or are you surprised? Did you have any idea or are you surprised?
I'm very surprised.
Very surprised.
I looked on eBay.
You looked on eBay.
They were $1,000.
They're $1,000. Yeah.
Something like that.
Now, let's talk about why on eBay a piece like that is going to be $1,000. Let's talk about that. First of all, it's oftentimes the situation that people who in fact are reselling objects have gotten the whole house full of stuff for maybe that same $1,000. Right? And that this particular piece, while they'd like to get more out of it, they figure, you know what, it's better for my time if I just sell it for whatever I can get for it. So when you say I looked on eBay and I saw the same thing for $1,000, A, you probably didn't see the same thing. Similar, okay, but similar is not the same, right? I always use the idea of I'm not a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model, but I'm similar because I've got all the same parts as those girls, right? And having said that, I want you to understand that similar is not the same. It's not the same. But the other thing is, a lot of these folks who are going in, they say to a family, I'll give you $1,000 for everything in the house, and then they just sell each individual object because they have the time to resell it. They post it on eBay for $1,000, and they wait for it to bid up. And they will. Because $1,000 would get you looking. It'd get more people looking. If they put $10,000 on this, they get rid of a lot of their market right out of the chute. Make sense? Makes sense. Okay. Let's have this one. Terry, I've got some earrings in my hand. How did you acquire these? You bought these at an auction. $50 for these. Okay. So $50 for these earrings. And these particular earrings, I know I'm looking for something and I just found it. Great. All right, let's talk about these earrings. First things first, these earrings have something called screw backs. If you look at the diamonds in my ears, my diamond earrings have screw backs. And the reason why they have screw backs is they hurt like hell. They hurt. But the reason for them is that you can actually screw the backing onto it so you don't lose the diamond. That's what you have in these. These are star sapphires. And you don't want to lose these stones, which is why the person who owned them originally had screw backs put onto them. Probably sometime in the 1960s or 70s, okay? They're a type of back that in fact are uncomfortable, but they're security backs, okay? Now, I don't know if you can see them well on the table or not, but basically what you have are those security backs with the backing here. And the star sapphire is here. The star sapphire actually shows you that star form in the background that is black, a nice contrast. Black star sapphires are much more rare than blue star sapphires. You'll see blue star sapphires often, but the black ones are more desirable and sometimes more sought after. The area here on the post, which is a screw back, is expensive to have applied, and also it's something that creates more security. So people, when they're wearing them, they won't lose them. And that's the whole idea. Those particular pieces you purchased for $50 at an auction. Is that what you said, Terry? Is that what you said? Is that what you said? Yes. So $50 at the auction. The star sapphires, each individual star sapphire, are worth about $300 per sapphire. So that's about $600 just for the stones. And then you have the 14 karat marked, 14 karat yellow gold backs with the screw backs, the setting, and then the screw backs. You're looking at $900 to $1,200 for those earrings if you were to purchase them for 50 bucks. If you're not buying at auction, now if you're selling at auction, that's a whole nother thing. But if you're not buying at auction, or you got to follow around these women who are basically going to the best auctions out there for jewelry. But these are really quite fine. These are beautiful examples. And they are not, which is what I think happened, was somebody thought that they were costume jewelry and assumed that these are only worth about $50. So I hate to say it, boys, but I think there were some guys who were involved in this who didn't recognize these pieces of jewelry. I'm not saying maybe they didn't, but I would say that these particular pieces are really quite fine. I'd put them, as I said, between $900 and $1,200. Those are really beautiful. Do you like these little plastic bags? These little plastic bags are fine. It's always a good idea when you have any kind of jewelry in a jewelry box, for example, it's always a good idea if you are to make sure that pieces of jewelry are separated. And the reason for that is because, for example, if you have pearls next to gold, the gold can scratch the pearls. If you have a star sapphire next to another hard stone, maybe like a diamond, which is a hard stone, if they rub up against each other, they can actually scratch one another. So this is why you want to have individual either boxes like we have here, or you want to have individual segmented areas of your jewelry box. Make sure it's lined and keep them away from those what are they called? Those pieces of material that you can actually clean them with. You know, if you have a piece of gold, those silver cleaners cloths are not really good for the gold, so they're not interchangeable. How did we acquire this filigree and carved ivory pin? From the early years of the 20th century, this piece belongs to Fred. Fred's going to give me one of these. My wife, it goes down there. She got it. Right? She's cute. So how did you acquire it? Auction? This one? So this is an auction piece. This particular piece is a piece that dates to the early years of the 20th century, probably before 1925, between 1900 and 1925. It's ivory carved. It's not carved all that masterfully. It is sort of quick and dirty carving, as I would call it. I couldn't do it, but it's not a great carving. And then it has filigree in a silver wire all the way around. Value on this piece, about $40. So, there you go.